Hello and welcome back to the channel. Like you already know, I am supported, sponsored and looked after by Ashworth Automotive. But Leigh, who owns Ashworth Automotive, what's his story? Let's find out. Cue the intro.
This adventure is supported by Ashworth Automotive in Weston-super-Mare, the #1 garage keeping you and Helmet Head on the road.
So we don't need to introduce you properly because we've already done that a few times on the channel. But basically, you're Leigh, you own Ashworth
Greetings.
Automotive. You are supporting me and everything else. But what we want to know today is your story about everything, your amazing bike collection. And I know you've got more than this as well. But your story, basically, right from the beginning on how you got into bikes first.
That's easy. December, Christmas Day. No, don't touch that. He was about to press the SOS button on my on the Fagatron.
Don't
if he
press the button.
Yeah, he was going to press the red button.
Corner, stay.
Yeah, 1980, Christmas Day. My dad shouted out, "Leigh, come and get this out of the dining room. You know your mum's setting up for Christmas dinner." And I thought, I was an only child, mind, so I was spoiled. I better throw that in. And I thought, I ain't left anything in the dining room. What's going on? So I went into the dining room, and there was a brand new motorbike in there, and that was my Christmas present, brand new motorbike, 10 years old. So yeah, that's where it started, I guess. It was my dad's futile, but amazingly generous idea of getting them out of my system at an early age, but it didn't really work out that way.
It fueled it, didn't it?
Yeah,
That's what happened to me. It fuels it.
Yeah, I just got sucked into motorbikes really, and then so I did trials, and then I did motocross. But I have to say, I was proper crap at motocross. I did trials for 4 years, and I was really good. But I sort of got bored with the slowness, and then I met a kiddie at school that had a motocross bike, and I wanted a motocross bike, so I bought a motocross bike when I was a bit older.
Which bike did you have?
I had a KX 250.
Oh, I had the 100.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, nightmare, disaster. Every time I got on it, something happened. I was working at this point, so yeah, the kiddie that I met at school. That was like 1985, and he had a YZ80, and that sort of planted the seed back then. And then later on, I got involved in motocross, but like I say, I was terrible. That first bend where everybody's aiming for in the first few seconds, nightmare, just panic, just didn't like it. I was all right on my own, but as soon as I was involved, I was crap. So yeah, I had a few offs and a few nasty accidents, and gave that up. And then yeah, just carried on the road, and my dad said he'd pay for my car test if I'd pack in motorbikes, so he was like really panicking at this point. And I took my car test and passed and that, but I still could never get out of wanting to ride bikes. And then one day in 1990, or maybe 91, I was driving through Bristol in a Mark IV Cortina, living the dream, probably listening to something like Taylor Dane. Tell it to my heart.
Windows
tell
down.
Me I'm the
arms
only
out.
one. I was listening to that, something like that, I expect, or maybe even Debbie Gibson, who knows. And back, because this is like before 95 when all things went dark for me. That's another story. So I'm driving along, Mark IV Cortina, and all of a sudden I saw one of them, a ZXR 750, parked at the side of the road in Kingswood High Street. And I stopped the car, got out of the car, outside a model shop, and I just stood there on the pavement looking at this bike, a ZXR 750, which I now know to be an H1, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? It was the Hoover pipes. These pipes here, that's the bit that really sold it to me. Some of the people that might watch this will know exactly what I'm talking about. These Hoover pipes, it was just mental. This bike with pipes going into the fuel tank, it looked like, and I was like, I've got to have one. One day I'm going to have one of them. And then I had a normal life for a while, missus, and had a baby and all that. So I played the normal game for a
Did
minute.
you still ride though? Or did you have a break?
No, I had a break, but don't panic, it didn't last. I came home from work one day, and I used to work late because I had a body shop as well then. And I came home from work one night, and my daughter had gone, my missus at the time had gone, and that's another story, moved in with one of my neighbours. So that was the end of that. So I thought, right, I'm going to take my bike test, like big pants, get the big boy pants on, and go and get a proper bike. And I'm going to get my dream bike, a ZXR 750 H1 or H2 with the pipes.
Yeah.
So went and did me crash course, 4-day course in Bristol, and the instructor said, anybody got any ideas? There was 4 of us in the class. Anybody got any ideas what bike they want? And there was a girl there. She said, "Oh yeah, my bloke's got me a Norton something or other, this, that, and the other." And I said, "Oh, I'm having a ZXR 750 H1 or H2." And he was like, No, that's a terrible idea. Get yourself a nice CBR 600, something like that. Good bike. I said, no, the reason I'm here, I want a ZXR 750 H1 or H2 with the pipes, green one. And he's like, well, I can tell you now that is the worst idea you could possibly have. Anyway, long story, a little bit shorter. Passed my test, got a ZXR 750 H2. Hour and 20 minutes later, I'm in uphill ward and I have a metal arm.
Pure power and...
Yeah, it went horribly wrong. Hour and 20 minutes later, so that was the end of that. My old man was well impressed. Well impressed. My dad worked abroad 4 to 6 weeks at a time, and he came home from work. I'd come out of hospital. I was at my mum's house at the time because I'd split with my missus and didn't have the house anymore and blah, 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 tale of woe. So my dad came home with this transit van. I came out of what was then my bedroom and I said to my mum, where's Dad? Oh, he's going to get your bike. He's not happy. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm stood there in the living room. My dad turns up in this transit van that he's borrowed off a mate of a family. And I'm thinking, oh, my bike. And there was just bits getting thrown out the back of this transit van onto the drive. Oh. And then the actual lump of what was left of the main part of it was dragged out. And my old man was there, like, not happy. I've gone out the front door all in a sling, and there's all sorts wrong with me. But anyway, there's still things wrong with me now. But anyway, so I've walked out on the drive, and my dad didn't speak to me at all. And all he said was, as he's slamming the doors on this transit van with these bits of ZXR 750 on the drive, and I was going to show you, but it's not in here, I've got the speedo off that bike still. Anyway, he goes, happy now, as he slammed the door and drove off, and there was my bike, but I couldn't move it because I was all in a sling and stuff. So then I then built my own ZXR 750, which looks like an H1 or an H2, one of these or one of those, but it's a Q plate because I built it. It's not here, it's where my other bikes are, but it's a Q plate because I built it from scratch, brand new frame from Belgium, long story. And it's a cross between an L2, which has upside down front end, and an H1 and an H2, but it's a very special bike that. It's all artwork all over it. It's got the Grim Reaper chasing me on a fire blade on the fuel tank. It's got me on the fuel tank. I'll show you it tomorrow. It's got me on the bike, which I know is a little bit of a debatable thing. Some people don't like that. But it's got me on my bike into a bend with my knee down, the Grim Reaper chasing me on a fire blade, and his scythe is sparking out on the road, and round the filler cap it says, "Thou shalt not fear the smite of the Reaper's blade." It's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, so that's in the place where the other bikes are. Let's
talk about what you got in the garage, because obviously the Kawasaki crash hasn't changed your opinion of Kawasaki's at all.
No, I'm a bit of a Kawasaki fetishist.
Not that anyone could tell by the colours or the pictures at all. Anyone would think that you completely hate them, but clearly not. So let's talk about, you're obviously going in age order over here. So let's talk about the oldest one first.
Well, that's, I've got a couple of these. That's a ZX7R. I've got that one, and I've also got a black one as well. In 98, I went to buy a brand new one of these from Gloucester Kawasaki Centre in Gloucester, funnily enough. And I rode up there on my ZXR 750, the Q-plate one. I'd ordered one of these in 98, brand new. It was about £5.5 if I remember rightly. Excuse me. And the number plate was going to be S4 TAN, which would have been Satan, but then it ended up being a problem and DVLA got all funny or something. But anyway, what happened was I went there because Neil Fraser, he rang me up and he said, "Oh, I've got one in if you want to test ride one." I said, "Well, I don't really want to test ride one, I just want one." And he goes, "Well, I suggest you come and have a go." So I went and had a go on one, and I was really deflated at the time because I just didn't see the point of spending £5.5 on something that was almost what I already had. It didn't go any better than my ZXR. So anyway, I didn't buy it. And he had a ZX9 C1. And I took that out. And it was absolutely bonkers. Absolutely insane. I won't say the speed I did with a girlfriend at the time on the back of it.
Bang on the speed
It was about 60 miles an hour.
Well,
it was
if we're talking about money, not that you're speeding, where would you put it at? A pound?
If I was talking about money,
Yeah, if it was like, say like a pound was 100 miles an hour. Not that you were doing it in any way whatsoever.
£170.
£170.
And with me and a girlfriend at the time on it, still going, front wheel popping up all the time. It was ridiculous. But I went back because I took that back and she was waiting there for me. And I got back, took my helmet off, and he goes, "What do you think?" And she said, "He doesn't like it." And I said, "Well, I like it, but it doesn't go any better than what I've already got, and I'm having trouble now spending all this money for almost something that I've got." But I just love the look of it. I'm absolutely in love with the front end. I love that bike. And that's when he said, "Well, I thought this was going to happen, so take that out." And it was the C1 ZX9. Now, I've got a bit of an issue with motorcycles that have only got one headlight. Right. I haven't so much now, but when I was young, dumb and full of cum, I wasn't too sure about bikes with one headlight. You'll edit that out.
No, wait.
I didn't like bikes with one headlight. So I took the ZX9 out, but couldn't have one because it had one headlight. So I bought a Range Rover with a small block Chevy engine in it for £5, and it blew up the day after I bought it. Nightmare.
That's a surprise.
So yeah, that's that. But obviously now,
let's move you over here. You pointed it.
Yes, well, a proper wolf in sheep's clothing. That is a ZX9R.
It's what places. Honestly, I get you to point at it so everyone can see it.
It's a bit dirty, and also the fork seals have gone, so it's gushing. She's a gusher at the moment.
That's a standard, isn't it? Or have you done stuff to it?
I haven't actually done anything to this bike. Well, I've done a bit of fabrication work because the club went away for a 3-day trip, and I wanted to put a top box on it, so we did all that at work. But anyway, I have done. Actually, what am I saying? I've spent more on the brakes on this bike than what I paid for the bike. I've actually spent about £900 on the brakes.
Is that because they weren't as good standard, or you just wanted to go all posh?
Well, I'll tell you something now which is going to sound a bit weird. See the ZX10, which I'll tell you about in a minute.
That absolute sexy beast.
Yeah. Well, when I bought this, I thought, I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to have my mate Derek, who's the most awesome painter in the world ever. I'm going to get him to paint that like that. So that's why the wheels are painted like that.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I bought it, took the wheels off. Derek painted the wheels for me. And I thought, right, let's go to town. So I've got like Galfer discs on it and redid all the calipers and done the back and all that cack. Awesome bike, love it. Absolute animal with none of the electronic wizardry. So it's just mental. So that's that. Obviously 2 headlights.
None of them are single.
No. So that's awesome.
And then the beast.
Now this, I'll move over here a little bit.
Is this the bike where you turn the throttle and instantly just poo comes out your bum, but the smile on your face is huge?
Pretty much, yeah. This is a 2017 ZX10R KRT edition. KRT Performance Edition. The KRT basically means Kawasaki Racing Team. This has been loved from day one. It was in a collector's, well, a bit like me, I guess. A guy that collected bikes had it, and the guy that I bought it off, all he did was 300 miles. No, 100 and something miles in 3 years. And I did more miles in one day than he did in the entire time of owning it, because I rode this back from Glasgow, which was proper mental.
Looks comfortable for the distance.
Do you know what? Yeah, I had to go and see a chiropractor for a couple of weeks after I got back. No, I didn't. To be honest, I mean, now I'm not in my 20s anymore, which some people will find hard to believe, but when I got on this outside, I'd wanted one for ages, but it had to be the KRT. I wanted
had to be the right one.
Yeah. I did have a Suzuki. I've never had a Suzuki. I did have an S1000RR BMW.
Right.
But I got rid of it, which I don't do that. I broke a golden rule and I sold one of my bikes. But that's another story. It just I didn't like it. This, I got on it, and you're basically all crunched up. What you got to do is you lean forward as far as you possibly can, and then tilt your head up as hard as you can like that, and keep that up from Glasgow to Weston-super-Mare.
It's a race bike, basically, on the road, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely bonkers, that is. But the thing is, even though I'm just on the cusp of approaching my prime, and I shouldn't really be having something like this.
Oh, you so should.
The thing is, I've wanted one for so long, and when it came up, I just couldn't believe it. It's all carbon fibre, everything, titanium bolts everywhere. It's just, I had to have it in my collection, you know, and I've obviously ride it, and only on dry, sunny days when the wind is blowing at 17 knots in a southeasterly direction. But yeah, it's
perfect,
absolutely barking mad. To be totally honest, I don't know how something like this is actually legal for the road, to be honest. It's a little bit irresponsible, because anybody can go, I don't know how the test system works, but you can go and get a bike licence and get on something like this.
Ride a beast.
Yeah, mental. But yeah, that's... I've got a couple of those ZXRs as well, actually, because I got the one that I built, and I've also got a standard one. What happened was, I was at work one day, a friend of the family rang me up, and he goes, you don't want to buy a motorbike, do you? And I was like, not really, what is it? And he goes, well, I don't know, I bought off a mate at work, it's a green one. I was like, all right, what exactly is it? He said, I don't know, Z something? I was like, it's not a ZXR, is it? He said, I don't know, it might be, come and have a look, it's in the garage at home. I said, all right. I said, what CC is it? He said, 750. I went, all right. I ain't got two pipes going in the tank, has it? He goes, yeah. I thought, no way. So anyway, it goes around his house. Yeah, H2, ZXR 750 H2. So I bought it. That was going back probably 2000. So I got that one as well. So I got my Q-plate one and the standard one. So yeah, I got the green ZX7R and the black ZX7R, the ZX9. ZX10, that's all the Kawasaki's.
What about now that the beast, the Harley, that nobody knows what it is?
Yeah, that's right.
When they stare at it.
It's,
when normally what happens to you, I believe.
It's strange because I'm just kicking GoPro stuff out of the way a minute. This is a Harley Davidson FXDR. I saw the $1 Million Bogan test ride one and thought, what the hell is that? Went to our local Harley Davidson dealership, which very sadly, I have to say, is the worst if I could say it, I would say
you can't, because it's that bad.
They are the worst Harley Davidson dealership I've ever come across, and they're all quite bad, apart from Wars in the King's Road in London, which is actually where this bike originally came from. I won't go into why, but basically, I wanted to have a look at one of these. I went and test rode one, and I also test rode the Harley Davidson Breakout, which is great if you want to go in a straight line forever. If you want to go into a corner, don't buy a Breakout. 240 rear tyre, the same as what this did have, but I think the rake is different and a bigger front wheel, I think, on the breakout. But anyway, test rode this and the Fat Bob, and I love the Fat Bob. Fentor has got a Fat Bob, brilliant bike. I got on this and that was it, sold, awesome. So I actually bought this from a dealership in Surrey, and the guy said to me on the phone, he said, this is the newest second-hand bike you will ever buy. He said it's done 69 miles from new. It's a brand new bike.
Wow.
So I went to Surrey. I chopped in my Harley Davidson 883 Sportster, which I think is what
I've
you've
got one, yeah.
The one I had, it had twin disc conversion, burly shocks, fancy bits and bobs, the foot pegs and handlebar grips and levers and mirrors and all that. Custom paint job and everything. Anyway, so I've done a good deal with him over the phone. He offered me twice as much as what our local Harley Davidson dealership were offering me. Went up there. As soon as he wheeled this out, I had to make some room in my pants because I was having a real issue. So anyway, done the deal with him. Rode it back to Weston-super-Mare. This is my club bike. I've modified it. I took all the back end. They come with like this aluminium bracket that comes round the back where the back lights used to be. And they've got like a plastic fender, I guess you could call it, hugger, rear mudguard. Took all that off. We fabricated the side-mounted number plate at work. Obviously, it's got my sixes CNC machined into the side of it, and the same font as on my hand, exactly the same font. Kev goes to me, what font is it? I said, Vicky Hooper. He said, what? Never heard of it. I said, well, that's my tattooist. He goes, oh, you cock. So it took him hours to program, apparently, the CNC, but he loves me and I love him. He's brilliant, our Kev. So yeah, I'd made that. Got a Thunder bike light unit from Germany. You might be able to get around in a minute and have a look at that. But so yeah, I did all that, put the Two Brothers exhaust on it. And it's awesome bike. It's really weird because obviously I'm in a motorcycle club and I meet people nearly every weekend from all other clubs. And now a lot of them are used to the bike and they know the bike now. But when I first got it, for months, maybe even over a year, people would come up and they'd be looking at it going, what the hell's that? I see it's a Harley, but what is it? No one knows what it is. And in our area, in the club scene, that's the only one. I have seen a young computer programming guy that's got one, and he obviously earns a lot of money because he's changed everything on it.
Customised it.
Yeah, he's changed the wheels and everything. He wanted me to do a load of work on it, and I did say, yeah, I'd be actually look forward to doing that for you, actually, because he saw what I'd done to this. I told him I'd do the work for him, but he wanted me to do it all in one day, and he didn't seem to accept the fact that changing the wheels and making mounts to mount the calipers, he didn't seem to accept that it was going to take longer than a day. So I told him best that he carries on and does it himself, and that was the end of that, really.
Wow.
But yeah, awesome bike. So that's oh dear, hang on. So that's that. I've also got in the Yamaha world.
Let's talk about this.
Oh, should we talk about the Fagatron 6000?
That's why it's here, and then we'll ask you about other bikes that you've got.
Okay, well, this is the Fagatron 6000.
I don't think we can say that.
We can say that now.
Can we?
It's 2023. We can say that, can't we?
Don't know. Are we allowed?
Are we allowed to say that? Okay. Well, this is a 2019 BMW GS Adventure. 1250. This is the TE exclusive. Although I've actually, I didn't have an argument exactly, but I went to buy a WR250F. Anybody that goes on my YouTube channel will see that on some of the earlier videos I did have a Yamaha WR250F, but I sold it, which I broke the rule again because it was just a lot of money's worth of bike that I just wasn't using. But when I turned up at the guy's house in Newton Abbot and I bought the WR, he gave me a screen protector for the TFT on this bike, which threw me because I thought, hang on, I'm buying a WR250 and he's giving me a screen protector for a GS. I said, oh, right, thank you very much. I wanted one of these. How come you're giving me this? He said, oh, because I had one of them, but I had the 1250 TE exclusive. He said, but I sold it a couple of weeks ago, so you can have this. I went, oh, right, yeah, that's what this is. He went, no, that's a 1200. I said, no, it's a 1250. It's the TE exclusive. He goes, no, they didn't come in black. I went, no, it's Kalamata green, really. But I had it wrapped because they didn't do triple black when I bought this. And he goes, no, that's a 1200. I went, okay, all right.
You can argue with him.
Okay, yeah, nice guy, but so it doesn't look like a 1250, but it is. And this is, I test rode every adventure bike there was, pretty much. And this, hands down, was better. I did like the 1200 Tiger, like what my mate Wookie's got. Although, on the model that was available at the time I bought this, it was a later version than the 1200 Tiger that actually was named the Explorer. After that, it went to this menu and a different thing, instrument cluster, and it had this menu which, as I've already stated, I'm just on the cusp of approaching my prime. But having said that, it was like trying to teach my dad how to send an email, going through all the menu and like, hang on, I just want to... The screen moved electronically up and down, and there was a little joystick to move it up and down. However, to do that, you had to go into the menu, select screen, oh, hang on, and you're riding along trying not to hit something. And it was all just a right faff. And I thought, I can't be doing with that. You've just lost a sale because I can't do it. And then I rode one of these, and the build quality, the feel of the bike was just different. It sounds rubbish, I know, but
it was just the right bike. It felt.
The thing is, I took out a KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. I had it for 2 hours from Fowler's in Bristol. Good guys there actually, and it was like riding a breeze block for 2 hours. It was horrific. My ass felt. I'll cut this.
Felt in pain.
It was bad. I felt like I'd been Monsieur Grand's bitch for a couple of days, and I thought I can't cope anymore with it. I can't do it. So I pulled into Dick Lovett's after 2 hours of riding the KTM, and I said, "Excuse me, sorry to pull up on this thing." And he went, "Oh, this thing, is it that bad? Is it?" I said, "Well, I've been on it 2 hours. My ass." I was telling him the story. I was hoping he was going to rub it, but he didn't. And he said, "I said, oh, is it possible to sit on a GS Adventure a minute, just after I literally just got off that?" He went, "Yeah, of course it is. Here you go, sit on that." So I sat on one, and I was like, "Oh, wow." And he said, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "It's like having two young Latvian ladies gently caressing each buttock." And he goes, "Oh, I've not heard that before, funnily enough." He goes, "Well, what are you doing now?" I said, "Well, I'm taking this back, and then I'm going home, I suppose." He goes, "Well, go and take that back and come back and take this out." I went, "Oh, really?" He went, "Yeah, go and do it now, and then straight after, and then you can see the comparator." I went, "All right then." Took it back. Thank you very much, but horrific. Didn't like it. Good fun, the KTM. If you want a hooligan one bike, but it's not an adventure bike.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. The suspension settings did absolutely nothing. I didn't like it. If you want one bike and you want something that's fun, then I do get it. It was fun. Whoop. It was great. But it's not an adventure bike. Come back, took one of these out, 2 hours. I didn't want to take it back. It was unbelievable. And I knew within 5 minutes of riding it, I could literally ride to the other side of the planet on it without stopping if the fuel would let me. It was just unbelievable. So I bought one. Had to have it. And I'm planning all these trips I'm going to do. Well, I've done some of them. People will see on my channel that I've done some of them. But I did call it the Fagatron 3000 and then the 5000, but it's now progressed to the 6000 because I fit all these Denalis at work. I got a bit carried away, so I've got the D7s, D4s, got the sound bomb and all singing, dancing.
You stuck everything on it.
Yeah, I got the in-off camera system. I got a tracker. So I'm an installer. I'm the local installer for Bike Track. So I put a Bike Track tracker on it, which is awesome. That's why I said to you I can't move it because I'll be getting a phone call. So I put these trackers on them. But So yeah, I've got everything on it, and yeah, it's awesome. I've just changed the Garmin SatNav to the TomTom 550 Rider. I've only done one trip with it so far, but I'm about to put a video up soon on my channel about the conversion of that, because that Garmin's just nonsense. I think the camera just died.
Yeah.
It's because I waffle about crap for so long.
It's good though. You've got a lot of bikes. Go through the other list. I know you've not got them all here. So what other bikes have you got?
I got one of these.
An R1?
Yeah, now
Ooh.
this will sound mental, and I dare say people watching this will think this guy's a tool. They'll probably think that anyway,
They'll
to be
love
fair.
you.
Now, I bought one of these in 2001. It's done 2,000 miles.
Wow.
I've never started it up.
I don't now then,
I've never started it up.
because that's going to be rare.
Basically, it's a bit more of a story than that. I bought one, it had a bit of damage on it, right? So I bought another one, made one out of the two, but I got a bit excited, and to be fair, I do acknowledge now that I've done something a bit stupid, but at the time it wasn't stupid because it was something that everybody was doing. So what I did was I took the frame to a place in Gloucester, and I had the frame polished to a mirror finish, right? And when I went there to pick it up, he said, "This is the last one I ever do. I'm only doing it because you're a friend of Tony's." I used to have a bike breakers. I bought a bike breakers out, and his name was Tony. It's another story. And he said, "Because you're a mate of Tony's, I'll do it for you, but don't tell anyone. I'm never doing another one." So he took about 3 months to do it, but literally, I'm not exaggerating, when I went to pick it up, it was covered up on his desk with a sheet, right? All the people that worked there, they were doing like metal stillages full of, I don't know what they were doing. And he said, we earn more money doing that than we do doing motorbikes, so we don't do them anymore, but I'm doing it because you're a friend, Tony. Gone in the office, and there's this thing covered up with a sheet, a bit like the monkey bike reveal. And I said, "Oh, right," and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And they made like a proper big deal of it. And he goes, "Right, you ready?" Right. He goes, "Go on, show him." So they've pulled the sheet off, this like blanket, and honestly, I was like, oh my God. I've never seen a polished frame like it in my life. Done the swing arm and the frame. And then I look around the office, and there's all these bikes, Street Fighter, AWOL magazine and all that. Street Fighter magazine, best bike magazine ever in the world. They went out, well, they finished it, but anyway. All these bikes, and he goes, "Yeah, we did all of these." And they were all around the room. Anyway, so I took the bike, started putting it all together, rolling frame, put the engine in, wiring loom, and then I moved house, and then I moved business, and then life got in the way, and then I got married, and that's a whole nother story, that is. And so it got put away, and that's how it is now. Never started up. But the what I've done wrong, the thing that I shouldn't have done, is polish the frame, because now it's not original. If I'd have left it exactly like that, that's pretty collectible bike now.
Still be collectible though.
It will be a collectible bike, but to be honest, my plan was my mate Derek, the best painter in the world ever, he was going to paint it black for me, because I'm obsessed with black stuff. Although I've never entertained a black lady. We can say that's 2023, but you know, I've still got time. But it is that colour, but that's why I've got one of these. I've also got another Yamaha in my life. I've got a Yamaha BT 1100 Bulldog, which is quite a collectible beast. But yeah, that's a 1100 twin.
Wow.
V-twin, yeah.
How many more bikes? Any more?
Do
you can name any more?
I've got a little thing, but I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Some Chinese thing. But that's just a fun thing.
Next, well, no, business history, as in starting the garage. What sort of prompts you to start your own garage?
That's easy.
Go on.
All I ever wanted to do, all through school, like lessons like humanities and citizenship and all that. What a load of cack. Didn't need any of that, because all I ever wanted to do all I've ever done since I was a tiny kid is take things apart and fix them and break them and take things. You know, when my mates at school were discovering women, I was buying engines out of the local paper, taking them apart to see how they worked, making motorised go-kart when I was at school. Nearly killed 3 of us on it. But, you know, it was all madness. But I didn't discover women till I was 18 because all my mates were messing about with girls. I was like buying motorbikes.
Stripping and building them.
Messing about with them, yeah. But so all I ever wanted to do was either have my own garage or follow in my dad's footsteps of driving a truck around Europe. And I've done both. So I had my own garage in 1988, and I was mainly doing air-cooled Volkswagens. I had a garage in Bristol, had enough of it. I was too nice, and basically I was letting people not pay me and pay me when they got paid and all that. I was just too nice to people, trying to help people, listening to their sob story, and I don't get paid till next month and all that, and I got stitched up all the time. So I packed it in, went lorry driving with my dad for a few years, driving a truck around Europe, filling a taco out one day. I realised I spent exactly the same 24-hour break in the same services in Italy that I did 10 years previous, and I thought, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm missing out on all my life here. It is a single man's life, but that's all you will ever be forever, which is the best way to be, but incidentally, but that's another story. So anyway, packed that in, and I had a garage again. And then every now and then, when I had a garage the first time round after packing in driving, I still did a bit of driving for friends of the family every now and then, and kept the garage going. Then I packed in the garage and started my own transport company. And let me tell you, that was a nightmare. I ended up in hospital with a stress-related thing. Had 6 drivers working for me, and the stories I could tell you about that you would never believe in a million years. So had enough of that in 2005. Worked for an Irish firm, going back driving again. That was fun, working for an Irish firm. Oh, be Jesus. Yeah, that was great. Had an awesome truck, V8 Merc, great. That nearly killed me. And then packed all that in and started a garage again. And that's where I've been ever since.
What year did you start Ashworth Automotive?
I started Ashworth Automotive in 2013.
2013, so...
But I wasn't called that to start with. I was called American Performance to start with.
All right.
Because what I started doing was Ford F-350 Super Duty trucks.
Right.
Because I used to have people come into my house from all over the place because I had these trucks, and they all knew, word got around, and it soon became known, you know, on the internet and word of mouth. Oh, if you got trouble with it, go and see this guy in Western-super-Mare, I'll tell you where he lives. And I'd be delivering a boat somewhere in Croatia or something, and my wife would say, because I used to have a normal life with a wife and stuff, I think I mentioned that, she'd say, oh, another person's been here with one of them trucks, and so I started the business doing those. But you can't run a business, some people will argue, you can't run a business doing American stuff. It's a nightmare. It takes up far too much room, too much time. So our main work now is a motorhome company down the road. Awesome people. I've known them since we moved here in 1978. Awesome family. And basically every day we're doing full service time and belt water pump MOT on a motorhome. It doesn't get me fully erect, but it does pay the bills at the end of every month.
Your garage does motorhomes,
yeah,
cars, motorcycles,
4x4s, motorbikes, yeah.
the whole lot.
Yeah.
But what's the most famous thing you're famous for now?
Well, funnily enough, the most famous, the reason we've been most famous, we've actually just worked on a Lord's motorcycle, a Honda monkey bike. Yeah, and he's going to be travelling the whole of Europe, if not the world, on said motorcycle.
You know that now Ashworth Automotive is now the known monkey bike
yeah.
garage.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
the specialist. There is no specialist.
Is there not?
There is not. So
Well, there actually isn't.
Well, you are now.
Oh, right,
because
okay,
because now you've built the bike, you've stripped it, rebuilt it. I don't really know what you've done to it at the time of making this.
No.
All I know is you've spent weeks.
Yeah.
So you know monkey bikes like the back of your hand.
Yeah, I pretty much do now, really. Yeah, I've had to even buy special tools and all sorts.
You've got all the kit for it now.
Yeah.
You're fully kitted. Right, just before we end the video, obviously all the links are down for you and your social stuff like that. You've got a YouTube channel. Just tell us really quickly about that.
Yeah, that's it on the wall there. Nightcrawler 666. It's mainly motorcycle related nonsense, very similar to yourself. Sometimes involving my mate Wookie, who is a legend, and turning into an internet sensation. It's funny how YouTube goes, because you meet other people with other channels, and it seems to click, because it's like you and Sidekick. It's a bit like me and Wookie.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's good. And there's another guy that I know called Green String in Germany, and he's got his mate Jason. So yeah, you meet all these other people and build a community through it, which I really like. I think it's cool. Yeah, I love it.
So everyone's got to know you. They've got to know your story. There's probably loads more as well, but we're about to
I could go on for hours and hours.
We're about to run out of battery time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shake your hand. We're going to end the video. And always,
cheers, dude.
thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah,
Obviously,
thank you.
Subscribe to
Nightcrawler
Nightcrawler
666.
and you'll be on my adventures as well.
Yeah.
So there's the story. There's the man, and this is the guy that's looking after me as I go around the world.
Indeed.